Are you doing mostly share or the
Yeah.
PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm going to share the screen so that way people on Zoom can actually see what the heck you're doing.
Will it show me who's on here over on the
Yep.
side?
It'll be over on the side. You can get that out of the way however you need to. There you go.
Cool.
You're all good. Let me know.
Do you need to admit people or do they just
No.
come in?
Automatic.
Okay.
Actually, I'll do you one favor and shut off the annoying chime. Because that's annoying as heck. There you go.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're good. Let me know if you need anything.
All right.
Hey, good, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Over.
Hey.
That's perfect. Is it so? Um, were you walking on the 140? Yeah, right. Yeah. I was like, I think that might be good. I should talk to you. 3 o'clock, 7 o'clock. That's where you guys were.
like not to like read. But if you remember and know, then you're set, essentially. And then the other thing is change. And then that we want to do is change the docs into our incorporation. I know that's the thing, it's like how hard it is. And now you have well, it might be still like today, but he has all the docs and everything. The opportunity is in growth, right? Which I can't say is my box, that's it. Go back. 2 days in a row, I get to see your pretty face. Yay, Carrie. Looks like you're gonna have a one-on-one. No, Noah, I wasn't talking to Noah's pretty face. Certainly wasn't talking to you. Is it noon? It is? Okay. Well, I don't know if you're gonna get anybody else. Lucky you, Carrie. Noah, Todd's son.
Oh, hi.
Carrie.
So you already.
He's probably gonna teach the class. Noah. Thanks, Todd.
Yeah.
Good catching up. Bye now.
Well, We'll just give it a couple of minutes because we're realtors and sometimes we.
You know how they
have
run.
something late, Yeah, and if nobody else comes, we'll still run through it. So, and you'll have the handout too.
They're recording it, right? It looks like it is. Looks like that thing's on. Not?
I think that's just the share there.
Yeah, it's just a share. But it's got
Look
this,
up in the corner on the screen there behind you.
I don't think so.
Or is it not recorded?
I don't think so.
Then why is that thing pointing at me? I'm not the technology.
Oh, I think that's just a speaker, the mic.
That's just a mic.
Oh, okay.
If you click more, you may be able to share it or to record it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go see if Jessica's here. She might watch it.
Oh, so we do have one person on.
Yeah, it's recording.
Okay. Right, well, I'll have to just do it. Lisa, hopefully you can hear us. We're going to get started here in just a minute. We're just waiting for one more person to come back into the classroom. All right, we'll just we'll get rolling here. So again, Lisa, hopefully you can hear us. This class is for anybody that's interested in investing in real estate themselves or working with investors who want to invest in real estate. And just about every class we take at Keller Williams International, they always ask, do you know what your big why is? Why would you want to be a realtor? Why would you want to be successful as a realtor? Why would you want to go from $100,000 a year to 200 to 300 to 400,000 in GCI? What drives you? Why do you get up without any accountability and come in and do what you do every day? So understanding what your big why is a big part of investing. You know, what financial goals do you want to accomplish? And the investors that you work with, what do they want to accomplish? So what is your big why when working with real estate investors? So is it investments yourself or is it working with investors? Is it to build a better level of knowledge for yourself, to help your clients build knowledge, to help clients build wealth, to build wealth for yourself, help clients build passive income, to help yourself build passive income, to pay for college, tax benefits, or retirement planning? So I'll tell you a couple stories. So I just met with one of my longtime investors on Friday, showed that investor a couple of properties. In 2011, I sold him a duplex in Minneapolis on Colfax, right by Lake Harriet. He paid cash for that duplex back then, and it was $329,000. Didn't really negotiate on it at all, just because duplexes have been hot properties, even though it was in a depressed market. So he felt like the price that he was paying was at a point when the market was really bottoming out, and the years since then have really played out that way. So today I did a market on his duplex and it's worth $800,000. He's put about $80,000 into it during that time frame. He's enjoyed cash flow. significant cash flow. Each unit that he has there rents for about $2,300 a month. He's got $4,600 a month in rents, and then all he really pays for is any maintenance or any taxes. And then Minneapolis has some pretty strenuous compliance and maintenance and inspection rules as well. They're much higher than what you see in the suburbs, but those are his only costs. So he's got pretty good cash flow on that per year, probably about 40,000 roughly, after paying taxes and any fees and inspections and whatnot. So he's looking at acquiring 2 brand new $400,000 units in Maple Grove that are detached townhomes that could probably rent for about $2,800 to $3,000. So he could look to potentially pick up an extra $1,000 a month or so in additional cash flow, or $12,000 a year. So, great thing there. So that really falls under helping, clients build wealth. Definitely. And that's just one property that one example of one property and where that could go. And we've done multiple things with that particular investors. And help your clients build passive income. So Steve and his wife, they're in their 60s, with the properties that we've worked with them on. They're doing pretty well on passive income as well. And then they've also enjoyed tax benefits during that period of time as well. And then, obviously they factor that in, not only from the equity standpoint, but from the passive income standpoint for their retirement. So lots of different things going on there. And it's just, again, good to learn about those things and what you can do. And there's multiple people that I've worked with over the years. I got into real estate on the investing side first, and then became an agent. So kind of did things backwards. A lot of people become agents and then they become investors, where I really understood that. And it's really helped me in terms of working with clients and helping them accomplish their goals. Why is it doing it? Okay, so work with investors that have a big why. Work with investors that know exactly what they want to accomplish. That is a big, big thing. If you're working with somebody that's like, well, I just heard like it was a good idea, to invest in real estate, probably not going to be the person you're going to want to work with. They don't know what they're doing. They don't have any education. It's going to be a big challenge. Not to say that you couldn't work with them and help them, but you're going to be challenged on that. All right, so why work with real estate investors? Working with real estate investors is a great way to increase your GCI every year. Investors like to do multiple transactions, repeat business. There's been a number of investors that have been that I'd like to invest in real estate. I help them find a property that's a good deal, and then they determine that they really don't want to do that. They don't want to be a landlord. Even though one of my favorite investments is a townhouse. All of your maintenance fees are going towards exterior maintenance, so half the battle's won right there. You don't have to worry about all that exterior stuff. Literally, I have properties that are like that all we do is collect the check every month and then pay the mortgage payment. And the tenant's really paying the mortgage payment. So, we got the transaction going in. They didn't like it and got the transaction on the way back out again. Hopefully they go in, they stay in, just like the investor I was talking about, and then they do what's known as a 1031 tax deferred exchange, and they go into other properties. So, Steve, who I was talking about that I met with on Friday, obviously got a very nice transaction back in 2011. The sale of an 800 is going to be a nice transaction, and then 2 more sales on 2 additional properties at $400,000 a piece. So we're talking about $1.6 million in volume. So that's where that multiple transactions come into play. So build an investor database. Just go out and if you want to, be the agent of choice with investors. Project yourself in that way. Here's another investment deal that we did, put that out on Facebook and Instagram and on LinkedIn would be another great place. Investors are great to work with. They understand real estate and there's less education or counseling involved. Working with somebody that, isn't learning based, they're a know-it-all, or they just don't get it, they're not going to be the person that you're going to really want to work with, right? They're going to be just very difficult to work with. If there's any issues that come up, it's going to be your fault. So be careful with that. Investors are usually very well qualified. They usually have cash or 20% or more to put down on a property. And this is where you need to become very good at analyzing a property. Is it a good investment or not? Because there may be a point based on where interest rates are at, based on purchase price, where putting down, 30% versus 20% makes a big difference. That it gets the property to cash flow, that there is a good return on investment. The investment is the dollars that you're putting into it, the down payment and the closing costs. So based on an average sales price of $250,000, which our average sales price now is really hovering around $300,000. That would be $7,500 in GCI per transaction. You do 10 additional transactions per year, there's an additional $75,000 to add to what you're already doing already. Working with, buyers, sellers, working on new construction. Now throw in the investors as well. Something's always going to be hitting all the time. Develop a plan and set a goal for the number of transactions in GCI. So, if you want to do 40 transactions in a year, part of your plan is going to be that 10 of them would be investor transactions. Okay, so how do you attract investor clients? So one, your own database, right? Go through your database and have you talked to your people? Have you called them up? Just like we're taught in Ignite and Bold and other classes, who do you know? Have we asked the question? Who do you know that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, right? Or maybe you call them up and just say, hey, I've taken the time to analyze the market. I've identified several areas, key properties or new construction projects that I think would be a great real estate investment over a period of time. And by the way, we are going to move into a period where we have such low, we're already there, with such low inventory that appreciation rates are going to go beyond the annual 4% appreciation rate. We're going to get into, because the government is printing so much money, an inflationary period. This is my opinion based on several different sources. I read a lot about investing. I watch CNBC, Bloomberg, listen to people that talk about real estate. I watch videos from liking Bloomberg and CNBC, anything that comes out that's real estate related or financial markets related. And we're going to see a superheated market by the mid-20s based on demographics that the millennials are going to move into their peak buying years, and we're going to see the biggest population generation move into that peak buying years, and it'll be wave after wave after wave. And we're going to buyers, because the millennials will move up to that step-up house and that place that they're going to stay for 10, 15, 20 years, like we saw other generations do as well. And especially now that we're seeing such low interest rates, which are going to persist for a long time, which is great for us, right? But your own database. So call through your database. By the way, too, could you send something out, a mailer out? Don't forget about investing in real estate. There's not a better time to invest in real estate. By the way, beyond the fact that the appreciation is going up, rents are going up as well. It's crazy to see what people are paying for rent. There's a company that acquired land in Maple Grove, built 55 single family properties and are renting those out. Rents go anywhere from $2,700 to $3,200, $3,300 per unit. Then they picked up an additional piece because they did so well with the Maple Grove piece, one in Plymouth, and they're doing the same thing there. So rents are high, appreciation levels, but the cost of capital and the difference between where the cost of capital is at and what you can charge for rent creates the best opportunity for cash flow on properties, better than I've ever seen ever. Even going back to the 80s, and I've been working on investing in real estate since the late 80s. So your affiliates, your lender, you should be able to lean on your lender partners, and hopefully you're working with more than one lender, you're working with more than one bank, because the small banks have different programs and they might know different people. Title, who do you know in title? Have you asked the question, do you know anybody that's looking to invest in real estate? I'm a real estate investment expert. Inspectors, insurance people, maybe you've got, your home and auto with one company, and you've got your life insurance policies with another company. Talk to your insurance people. Who do they know? Home warranty reps, etc. Right? Build a website about real estate investing, just some basic information. Your presence on social media, does that project to the greater population that you understand investing in real estate? And one of those things is you're talking about, hey, this person just closed. You're standing there at the title company with the sold sign like everybody else is doing, but maybe your sign says closed on another investment property, right? So that's projecting to everybody that you work through social media, that you work with in investment properties. Hold investment seminars. You can go to kellerinc.com, and at Keller Inc., all of Gary's books, or Keller Inc.'s books, which are mainly Gary's, there's free downloads that you can get from there. Matter of fact, investing spreadsheets. So for analyzing a property, whether it's a great investment property or not, you can download that from the various books, whether it be Hold or whether it be the Millionaire Real Estate Investor. Millionaire Real Estate Investor, though, one of the downloads that's available there is a seminar that's already put together. So could you, with your lender partner that understands financing for, investment properties, do an investor seminar and put that out, through the different social media channels, and, get 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 people to show up. When times are good, like they are right now, everybody understands that times are good in real estate. That's when they want to show up to these type of things. And then networking groups. Are you doing a BNI group, right? It's another great way to go. Business owners tend to make more money than most people do. And that's where you want to build your own yellow pages of local businesses. If you're not doing a networking group, which you should be, because that will get you buyers and sellers, get you new construction deals, and by the way, it probably could get you some commercial deals as well that you could refer over to the commercial division, right? So team up with one of our great commercial agents so that you can send them over. But if you're not doing the networking group, build your own yellow pages of 35 businesses that you can connect with on a regular basis. Could you go there to a business, and let's just say that it's XYZ Blinds, and it's like, tell me about your business. How did you get into the business? What do you do differently than others? And let them tell their story in a 1-minute video that you can put out on Facebook or Instagram, right? Could you let those people at XYZ Blinds know that you've got a Facebook group of 150 agents at the Burnsville office, and one for Keller Williams North Central that's got several thousand agents in it? And if anybody ever asks, what's a great shop to buy blinds at, would you mind if I promoted your business, right? Are you building a relationship with them? Yes. Could you call them up and ask them to go to coffee? Tell me more about your business, and learn more and be genuinely interested in their business. Could you call them on a regular basis and ask them who they know that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Could you call them every time that you send a referral and make sure that there's a great connection so that that referral is really, really well taken care of? Absolutely. But business owners then, they tend to have more money than other people, And by the way, they know more people than most people do. Most people know 150 people. Business owners are going to know more than 150 people. Be an expert at helping investors, and you will attract referrals and leads from other agents as well. There's an agent up at Roseville that are doing all of these things that I'm talking about already. Jordan Moorhead, right? If you look at his Facebook profile, you will know just closed on another investment property, and he's licensed in Texas and in Minnesota. He goes back and forth between Austin and Minneapolis, and he's doing deals. But you will see on his Facebook profile, he's an investor. We have agents from the Roseville Market Center that are sending him deals all the time. So real estate investment clubs. So MINREC, Minnesota Real Estate Club.com membership is $797 per year. They do different educational events. A great way to network with other people that are working with investors. On Facebook, go to the Bigger Pockets Facebook page. Lots of information on there. Lots of little tips and stuff like, you know, hey, what are you doing for this type of financing? What are you doing for that type of financing, or this issue or that issue? Haigh University. So Caleb Hayes is a Keller Williams operating partner in Wisconsin. He's got a couple market centers over there. He's got his own university, and on there, he's got a house flipping course. It's 17 videos, $50. Very, very successful young entrepreneur, real estate entrepreneur that has done extremely well with flipping houses. That's the type of people you want to learn from. So attorneys, who do they know, right? Probate attorneys, great way to go, especially if you're working with people that flip houses. I honestly don't like to work with real estate investors that are looking to flip homes because, in my opinion, the property that you're looking to acquire needs to be at 50% of the after repaired value. That means if you're looking to sell it for $400,000 after repairs, you need to acquire it for $200,000. It's a hard find, especially in this market. I would rather work with people that are looking to buy and hold personally, but that's out there. And my team, we've got a couple real estate investors that do those type of properties, and Colleen on our team is very patient and very diligent about watching for properties that might fit the bill there. Tax professionals, who do they know? And by the way, you're going to want to know a great tax professional too, that understands real estate. My choice is to work with Business by Design. They're over in Edina. Lots of builders, realtors, investors, loan officers, people that own mortgage companies. That's who they work with. They have lots of different services that they offer, tax planning, tax advice, tax prep, bookkeeping, payroll. They do a lot of different things, and I can tell you it's just very, very convenient. By the way, they understand real estate at such a high level that it's one of those connections you would want to make to refer an investor there as well. So team up with the commercial division, send and receive referrals. You know, I usually have a couple of commercial referrals, and I'm not working on the sales side of my business. Even though I still run a real estate team, I do very little on there other than coach and manage that particular business. I'm not doing typically showings, although I did. Steve, I've worked with him for years. He's a real estate investor. So I actually showed properties last Friday. That was the first time I showed properties this year. And it might be the only time that I do. I like it, you know, but typically if you're building the yellow pages, you're going to get the opportunity to talk to people that have a commercial need as well. So I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago, a couple of people that are in my database had reached out to me. We're looking for commercial buildings, was able to do 2 referrals. I was about $15,000 in referral fees from those 2 deals. I've got one working right now where I referred a commercial agent to another investor that I work with. He's got a building that he's selling in Medina, and that's on the market right now. So also don't forget about any tenant representation. So if somebody's looking to take down space. So we took down space in this building. There was a commission that was paid on this. So don't forget about those. They definitely add up as well, especially when you're working with business owners. Select cities that are close by for ease of management. From a logistics standpoint, that makes a lot of sense, right? Neighborhoods that are stable, infrastructure, new employers. I've lived in Maple Grove, live in the Northwest Metro, I office out of Maple Grove. I just happen to know that market. Boston Scientific is putting on an expansion to their building in Maple Grove. Upshur Smith is putting on an expansion to their building. Abbott Labs just moved into a 120,000 square foot building in Maple Grove. They're doubling the size of the hospital in Maple Grove right now. Maple Grove is one of the top 3 places in the world for medical device manufacturers. They've got startup money that's available if you start up a company in Maple Grove. It's just crazy. So obviously that would be a great place to go grab investment properties. When I was working with Steve on Friday, we were looking at properties in Maple Grove. That wherever the jobs go, that's where the housing is going to go, and the housing demand is going to be strong. So you're going to look for those sorts of things, but it might be in an area too of the city, the inner city. That if you watch this, my brother had lived in Chicago for years, and I would always go and visit him. He might be living in a different place. This is an up and coming neighborhood. Well, what does that mean? Well, it hadn't been so great. And all of a sudden, people are moving in, and restaurants and shops are coming, and rents are going up, and property values are going up right along with it. So features, bedrooms, baths, garage stalls, these are all things to take into consideration. Size, finished square footage. So right now in the Twin Cities, every bedroom door that you have in a nice development, let's just say that it's a townhome in a nice development in the suburbs, you could probably get about $800 a month for rent per door. It just depends. It depends on whether they're looking at. Anywhere from $700 to $800 is typically where that's falling into place in your new or newer subdivisions. Age, year built, new construction. And then see the criteria checklist. So another free download from kellerinc.com, Millionaire Real Estate Investor. There's a free download there as well. All right. Okay, so analyzing the property. We're going to go through a couple of analysis on a couple of properties, real live examples. So will the property cash flow? Each property should cash flow a minimum of $100 to $200 a month. Will the property appreciate? It better, but there are properties that do not. There's a development in Otsego that they're like 1 to 2 acre lots, probably done back in the 60s or 70s, something like that. They're all on well and septic, and you've got these nice subdivisions that are developing around it, and there's trailer homes on them, right? And so I've had people ask me, well, that seems like a really good deal. Yeah, except for you're not going to appreciate, right? Or they might have a prefabbed home on it. Probably not that particular development, not that all prefabbed homes are bad, but that particular development, because it's got manufactured homes or mobile homes in with it, not going to be the right place to go or right way to go. Will there be principal reduction for financing? There better be. I don't even know if you can get reverse amortization loan anymore. Those used to be popular though between 2000 and 2006. Will there be tax benefits? Again, everybody's tax situation is a little bit different, but there should be. Okay, so let's look at a real life example, and let me know if you've got any questions on this, and you can use this then as kind of a template. Just do a copy and paste from this, and you can figure this out. So here's a property that I sold to an investor at 6201 Macklin in Otsego back in November of 2011. So we didn't know if the market was bottoming out at that point, but we knew that this particular property had been originally sold for 180,000. Okay, so 77,000 is going to be a pretty good buy on this property. And there were not people beating down the door to buy this at that time, right? It was still not the greatest market, and people were still skeptical about whether or not it would fall any further. Good news is that we caught the market just right, and this was the bottom of the market. This was just a fantastic purchase price. But we'll find out if it's a good deal or not. Just because it's a good purchase price doesn't mean that it's the right property. So down payment was 25% or $19,250. Closing costs, how did I miss this? I was trying to perfect this PowerPoint yesterday, and I knew that there was a mistake in it somewhere, and I couldn't remember where, but it's right there. So closing costs, we understand what that is. And I just kind of rounded off. Were they a little bit less or were they a little bit more? I think $4,000 on a $77,000 purchase price with 25% down is probably high, okay? So $23,250 in total cash to close, okay? This is important. This is what investors focus on. What is it gonna take to get into that property? Well, on this particular one, $23,250. Loan amount, $57,750. Principal and interest payment, $310. Taxes, $125. Association dues, $145. Insurance, and the insurance is for an HO6 policy. And hopefully, I'm gonna give you a little tip here on something. So the HO6 policy covers gap protection. So the association is gonna cover the exterior of the building, but most of the associations right now have a deductible of $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. Well, most people that are living in a townhome or an investor are not going to want to pony up $10,000, $15,000. And I'm not even seeing $5,000 before. I remember back 15 years ago when I'd see $5,000 as the deductible, and I thought that was outrageous. Now, I own a townhouse in Maple Grove. It's a $20,000 deductible. So I certainly won't want to pay that out of my pocket. The HO6 policy is going to cover that gap as long as you've helped your client do their due diligence. And whether, even if you're not working with an investor and you're working with just a regular buyer of a townhouse, make sure you're looking at that for your client. Make sure that they've got the right insurance, that they do not skip this. This also provides protection for all the fixtures inside the home. Cabinets, lighting, carpeting, flooring, all of that stuff is protected. And there's a $300,000 liability protection in there as well if something happens. So cheap insurance. By the way, the tenant, you should make it a must that they get this policy as well. So this is for you, they're gonna get their own. This guy did not have any management fees on this. So his total expenses are $595,000, or $595. The other thing that I don't have in here in the analysis is any vacancy, right? So that could be a reality too. But if you've got your rent right, your vacancy is going to be minimal. So our expenses, our rent is $1,300 on this one, expenses of $595, cash flow per month $705, and cash flow per year $8460. Is that a good deal? Would you advocate for that for an investor buyer? I would all day long. That's a fantastic purchase price, fantastic cash flow. Remember, going back, as long as we're cash flowing, right, we can continue to do this. And as long as it's cash flowing 100 to 200 per month, we've got $705 in cash flow. So let's continue with the analysis here. So our cash on cash, this is what investors look at. I'm actually going to be talking, well, I got to follow up with an investor, and it's actually the investor that owns this building. And we're working on another deal on a $2.3 million building in Roseville. And what he cares about is what his cash on cash return is. So on this particular one, the cash flow on this is $8460 divided by the total cash to close. So we're just taking a $23,250, dividing that into the $8460, and we get 36% annual cash on cash. So 36% of what they put into it, they're going to get back on an annual basis. Most investors, including the guy that owns this building, who is pretty smart, he'll go down to 6 or 7%. So 36% is over the top fantastic. That is a fantastic cash on cash return. That also is known as the cap rate in investor lingo or cash on cash. All right, so today the current market value is $195,000. Okay, bought it for $77,000. Current loan on it, he's actually got it paid off, but what I did was I ran an amortization schedule just to see what it would be at if he just held this thing without paying it off, because he took his cash flow and paid it off. And then he's going to save on all that interest as well, right? He probably would not do that today just because the cost of capital is so low, it may not make sense for him to do it. But at the time, it's probably 5.5% or 6% because your non-owner occupied is going to carry a higher rate than your owner occupied. And that's about what it was going for back then. So current loan amount, if he was to stay on schedule and not make any extra payments, would be $48,000. If we were to sell the property based on 6%, you know, figure, you know, 5.5% for commission and 0.5% for closing costs. So just a rough number, $12,000 to sell the property. If we took the 195, subtracted the 48, subtracted the 12, that gives us $135,000 of equity. And we had cash flow over 9-year period. We're not quite to 9 years, but I just used 9 years. 76,140. So 9 times 8460 gives us the 76,140. Make sense? Okay. All right. So our return on investment with appreciation. So we're only one thing, you know, so far. So our you know, as far as the cash flow, then we can look at it, you know, so we know we're getting 36% annually. And by the way, the bank's not paying that, right? And you know, you maybe get lucky in a mutual fund for 1 year. I have money in a mutual fund last year that got 26% return. That was good for that 1 year. Well, this year, not looking so good, right? So anyway, return on investment with appreciation. So it's 515% or 89.77% annually. That's a home run, right? Just absolutely knock it out of the park, home run. How did we get there? So we took the cash flow of 76,140 plus the equity of 135 equals the total between the two of them equals 211,140 minus the 23,250 that we put into it. So original investment of 187,890 divided by so after we subtract the 23,250, we're at 187. So then we take the 23,250 and divide that into the 187,890, and we come up with 808%. So just fantastic. So it did I change that? No, I did not. So actually, it's more than that. That's wrong. I was playing around with this yesterday because I had not updated it. I wanted to update it to the 9 years. So this actually should be 808% divided by 9. So got a mistake in there. I think I must have made that change and I didn't save it and then printed it. So see where I'm getting that from? So we'll need to make that change, Noah. All right, let's look at another property. Okay.
Can you do this sort of evaluation with an existing property? I actually turned my private home into a rental this year. And I mean, what seems like a really great deal.
So you're going to be, well, I think you can. You're just going to have to go back. That's just a little bit different situation because you live there, right?
Mhm.
And now you're turning it into a rental property. So you really kind of have a different situation. So if you went back and you looked at your cash, you know, that's what got you to where you're at. I would start with today, you know, and say that, well, your purchase price, whatever your purchase price was, right? And then your cash flow, whatever your cash flow is now. So you can figure that out. And then you can still factor in your appreciation. So you can do it. Yeah, you can do it.
It almost seems that I'd have to use like the numbers like from the beginning of the year because I had previously refied like 6 years ago.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the cash, what I paid 20 years ago is not.
And see, that even complicates it more because it not what it actually is going to look like is like it's going to look like a super good deal, especially if you didn't do any cash out, you know,
Right.
cash out refis, you know, it should look like a really good deal because I go back to your original purchase price. I probably wouldn't calculate in all those years. I would just calculate in the years starting now. That's what I would do. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. And two, if you take this and just, yeah, just put this into a spreadsheet and then just play around with it. Okay, so I talked about Steve, who I showed a couple properties to in Maple Grove. So they're right around upper threes. I think we could negotiate on them and get them to 375. So that's what I'm going to do. This is actually a property that's on the market. So 8061 Arrowwood Lane. It actually may be pending now, but purchase price of 375,000. Down payment would be 93,750. He would just come in and pay cash for it, but let's just go with like the last analysis. Closing costs of 10 grand. Total cash to close 103,750. So loan amount's going to be 281,250. Principal and interest 1373. Taxes of $400 a month. By the way, those taxes are not going to kick in until probably 2022 on this, because when they came out this year, they looked at the property and there was nothing there, and then it is being built. So then for 2021, it would be lot only taxes. They'll come out on January 1, 2021, and then they'll tax it for 2022. So there's going to be some tax savings there. And I only tell you this because when I'm working new construction with people, I say, here's a benefit that you're going to have. You're going to go a period of time, a year, 18 months, it just depends, right? Without paying full taxes on this property, but you don't have blinds, so you're going to have to buy blinds. You don't have a water softener, might not have a garage door opener, might have to buy a washer and dry. There's some things that you're going to need that might eat that up too, but it is an advantage. But this one here, I'm just factored in what the full taxes would be of, $4,800 a year. Insurance is a little bit different on this one because it's a detached townhome, and the association due is 120 because they're doing snow and lawn, irrigation, and sanitation. So there's just less that they're providing in there. They are not providing insurance on the exterior of the home, and they're not providing for exterior maintenance either, which would jack that up quite a bit. So total 1968. Conservatively, that particular unit could be rented for $2,800 a month. Got our expenses of $1,968. Cash flow per month of $832. Cash flow per year of $99.84. So this meets our cash flow, more than meets our cash flow requirement. It would be a huge incentive to take that $832 and throw that every month at the principal amount, get this thing paid off in, I don't know, probably 7, 8, 9, 10 years, something like that. So let's go through the analysis. So our cash on cash return, cash flow of $99.84, and our cash to close was $103,750. So we've got a lot more cash on this just based on the price. So 9.6%. I'm telling you, most investors right now, they would love that. On apartment buildings, they're not getting anywhere near that. They're getting 5-6%. That's what it's taking to acquire, but they're staying on the positive side, right? You know, so they're getting, all that means is after all their expenses, their cash flow is much less, but they're still cash flow positive. Okay, so 5 year, I had to project the value, and all I did was take 4% appreciation year over year over a 5 year period to get to 456,000. And our principal loan balance after 60 payments is down to 254. Originally at 281, 250, we paid it down to 254. Cost of sale on this at 6%, 27,360. Gives us equity based on where we paid it down to and the appreciation after the cost of sale of 70,890. You know, we add those two together, so then we got a 5 year cash flow of 49,920. And we're going to add those two together again down here to come up with over a 5 year period, we had 67.7% appreciation, a return with appreciation, or 13.54% annually. Make sense? Cool. Okay, so financing, cash, obviously. I don't think cash is the way to go. And do you ever play around with the financing tools in the MLS? You could go in there and play around with that and figure out, you know, what's a better way to go, cash or use somebody else's money. And most of the time, the 20 or 25% down, maybe it's going to take 30%, whatever. But, you know, because now you're talking about a cash on cash. When you're paying all cash, you're not going to see the returns as high. Even though you have debt service, you know, because you've got a mortgage, a lot of times when you're putting less down, you're just getting a better return. So in theory, it might be better for somebody to take, you know, let's just say they got $400,000 in cash that they want to put into something, that they buy 3 or 4 properties versus 1, right? Rate is usually, Fannie and Freddie will allow up to 10 properties each. And then there's pool loans, you know, when somebody gets to that point where you can pool them up and do a commercial loan on them, or go to smaller banks and do financing there. Typically, rate is going to be 1% higher for the non-owner occupied. And like I say, there are portfolio loans out there. Go with private lending or partners. There is money out there. Contract for deed or seller financing. You could look that up in the MLS. It's crazy how many properties are available for seller financing. 1031 tax deferred exchange is a great way to go. Talked about that with Steve, who was looking to do that. Self-directed IRA. Right now you can pull out up to $100,000 due to the CARES Act out of an IRA or 401k without a 10% penalty. So great to know. And then crowdfunding as well. So yeah, somebody could, you know, hey, what are you getting on your 401k or your you know, IRA? Are you getting, you know, 36%, 18%, 13.6% on average? Would you like to get into real estate? Here's how you can do it. There are some people too that have life insurance, whole life policies that they can borrow from. And that is a strategy that is taught out there. I'm not going to say that I'm the expert at it, but it makes a lot of sense once you analyze that. Self-manage. So managing the property, self-manage. You can advertise on Craigslist. Most people now, they're advertising on Facebook Marketplace under rentals. Tends to be a good way to go. Forums, Multi-Housing Association. So mmha.com has forums, education, government, you know, rules, you know, responsibilities, things like that for being a landlord in Minnesota. They've got a library. Tenantreports.com to do background checks, credit reports. And then if you're looking for management company, real-time leasing, they're down here in Egan. Tenant placement cost is 80% of the first month's rent, and then monthly management fee, $95 or 8% of rent. Another one is simply residential property management. They will place a tenant for free, and then they charge higher monthly. So just different ways of doing it. That is everything. Any questions on anything? I know it threw a lot of, at you about, financing and
Yeah,
And
I
that-
think doing the analysis.
yeah, it's the key. I mean, because if you can speak this language,
Right.
like what I would do if you're truly interested in this is spend some time on the MLS and go and work through several properties and go, okay, well, geez, if you do this development, here's what it looks like. And again, my favorites are townhouses, just because of the ease of management with that. Everything on the exterior is taken care of. Other people like single family, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, or 4-bedroom, 2-bath, or whatever, single family properties, because people are always moving up or they're moving back down. But I like the townhomes for that aspect. I think too, again, if you really want to work with real estate investors, you just start to project yourself in that way or ask for that particular business. Somebody's talking to you about their 401k about, oh man, this sucks. It's not performing at the way I would like to. Jay, did you know you can borrow up to $100,000 out of it and you don't pay the penalty on it? So as long as they pay it back, you can borrow out of your, whole life policies as well for down payments. Sometimes people don't think about these things. They just think like, where am I going to get, $45,000 to $50,000 to put down on a, $200,000 to $300,000 property? Well, there's a couple options.
So how long do you have to pay it back if you did something like that?
I think that they're all a little bit different, that they're pretty liberal in what they require though, that there's an extended
You'd be
period
able
of time.
to take your cash flow and bump it back.
Exactly. Yep. Or pay it back out of, raises or whatever, that you got over a period of time too. So. All right. Well, if you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to call me. Love to talk about investing. So
Thanks, Todd.
yeah, you bet.
Also, too, one of those Keller Inc. downloads from Hold is pretty much exactly like that property analysis that was up on the screen.
Okay.
It's like an Excel spreadsheet where you can just put in all the information. It does a lot of the math for you too.
So not from real estate, not even real estate investment.